It was really a good evening's work. We got put in a lot of situations and got a chance to watch people perform in them. 2-minute drive before the half, kind of highlighting some of that. I thought we did a nice job of not beating our own butt. We kept pre-snap penalties virtually to a minimum. I think we had one. We played a pretty clean game for a first time out. We gave a lot of people a lot of opportunities, and that's what this is about. It was good to see some offensive players tackling on special teams, defensive players blocking on special teams. We'll comb through that really closely. And to top it all off, man, we kind of got through the game virtually injury-free.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Training Camp Live, presented by FedEx. That was head coach Mike Tomlin following the Steelers' 31-25 win in preseason week number 1 over Jacksonville on Saturday night. We are back here in Latrobe at St. Vincent College for 2 more days of practice, today and tomorrow. Then they break it all down and head back to Pittsburgh, to the south side, and to Acrisure Stadium. There will be a joint practice with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're going to come into town a little bit early, but we finally have a game to talk about, not just Steelers on Steelers. Steelers, maybe not the whole squad versus Jacksonville, but there were a number of things that I feel like we did learn about this team, things that maybe we thought that were then confirmed.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we learned is depth is good.
Yes.
And depth is present here for the Steelers. You're thinking about how Jacksonville came out with their ones. Mm-hmm. Essentially with what? I'm going to say they had about, I think, 10 out of their 11 starters on Jacksonville's offensive side. Mm-hmm. Defensively for the Steelers, we had 2 starters in.
Right.
Peyton Wilson, Keanu Bidden. Everybody else sat. And I will say this, fared well. Offensively for us, 7 starters out. Only 4 offensive linemen in against the number 1 squad of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Not a problem. Head-to-head, 1-1, 7-3. We won that game. But the depth that went on for the next 3 quarters, Missy, was pretty fantastic to watch. And you felt good throughout the majority of the game. Nobody looked completely out of place. It was a good competitive matchup.
Yeah, I think, too, even, Peyton Wilson started, but he was playing Patrick Queen in that situation as the green dot, the defensive quarterback, getting a chance to do that and faring well. Coach Tomlin said it. Peyton felt like he did a good job with it as well. He's getting a chance to do it every time number 6 is not here on the fields at Latrobe. And I think, too, Beanie Bishop, guys that we have seen before taking those steps. And on offense, I think the O-line, we can start there with you. Isaac Seumalo did not play, of course. He's a vet, one of the laundry list of guys that got us over 20 due to vet status or injuries. So the 2 tackles, Broderick Jones, Troy Fatanu, what did you make of their first performance?
I thought it was a really good performance to start out. I thought what Troy really came and showed us, he showed that he's over the knee. The knee is behind him, and that he is a physical, run-blocking dude, but his pass protection, he's silky smooth with the feet. I don't know if he took some Fred Astaire dance class sessions or whatever, but his stance and the way he moved out of that and got into position, very physical at the point. Then for Broderick, the speed, the history, and the mental reps that he's taken over the years, coming back to his natural position, I thought was really well shown and indicated, and he had a really nice game as well, going out and setting the edge early, getting a tough task against Trayvon Walker, who's a werewolf, and then you got Josh Hines Allen, who's like a Wolverine, and he fought that battle, and you didn't see really a lot of pressure at all while Mason Rudolph was in, especially at the beginning of Skylar Thompson.
And very limited number of pre-snap penalties. Coach Tomlin talked about it during that press conference following the games. Not kicking your own butt was something he wanted to see from the entire team, offense and defense. Also, not a lot of injuries. There was just one guy on defense, Cameron McCutcheon, who left the game a little bit early. But as we're taking a look at, it's a get-right type of day here in Latrobe of the offensive linemen getting prepared, practice getting underway in just about 10 minutes, but no pads on today. Kind of makes sense with what you're looking forward to for the rest of the week. 2 more games left as well. In terms of Zach Frazier and Mason McCormick, 2 guys, we saw them do it in year 1 last year. What did you like about what that tandem, those guys did in Jacksonville?
Well, I think the biggest thing that I liked is they continued where they left off. And that's the best compliment you can say for young guys, especially in the interior offensive line. They played together all last year. You knew that there was going to be that that confidence, that comfortability, but were you going to take the jump? Were you going to go to the next level and ascend? And I felt like their communication on some of the twist pickup stuff in the run and the pass game was just really nice, really awesome. And I'm really excited about how they're going to be working together moving forward. I mean, it looked like a seamless kind of, continuance, I think is the best way of saying that. And the one thing I love, nasty at the point. They're nasty at the point.
Yeah, I think they bring that tenacity definitely for sure, as we're seeing players still coming down the hill, getting ready for practice. I saw just a bit ago when I had a chance to turn around, quarterbacks out there as well. Aaron Rodgers did not play, obviously, in Jacksonville, but we did see Mason Rudolph get the start. He's a been there, done that type of guy, not just in the preseason, but in the NFL regular season and playoffs. And Skylar Thompson making the most of his opportunities. What did you like about both of their performances?
Oh, the quarterback performance was awesome. I mean, I loved what Mason did. I mean, he went 9 of 10. 90%.
Yeah.
Is anybody going to scoff at 90% in the passing game? No, they're not. And for Skylar Thompson, I think he was almost at 75% completion percentage. So that right there, the decision-making, the understanding of the offense, and the execution, all things you're looking for out of your quarterbacks. And a second and fourth string quarterback. Let's think about that as well. Skylar Thompson turned a lot of heads. I'm sure a lot of people in the NFL are paying attention and taking notice, saying, hey, how good is my number 2? I don't think my number 2 is as good as their number 4.
Right.
Once again, depth, Missy,
Yep.
right? Depth and options for the Steelers.
Well, and it does feel like you mentioned depth at the beginning of the show. Sometimes we would go into games or, finish out training camp where you felt like, okay, maybe there's a position where they needed more depth. It does really feel like it's in a good spot, and I have to stop myself right there. Number 17, Will Howard throwing a ball today. Good to see.
That's always a good thing, and that's why we don't overreact, right?
That's right. He was in Jacksonville with the team. Aaron Rodgers put Pat Freiermuth and DK Metcalf through a pretty nice workout pregame. They still, checked that box on Saturday. Will Howard did not throw. We did see him signing some autographs, but good to see 17 out there throwing a football today.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that you want to see how your quarterbacks respond and how well they play together and how well they can understand things, but you can't beat experience. You can't beat that physical experience. Then that's playing on the field. And I think for our team, it's going to be a really nice thing to see how the other guys respond. No cast there, okay. No cast for Will Howard.
Nope, that's Skylar.
17 was Skylar.
Sorry,
yeah.
Yep, but 18 was throwing too.
Yep. And look,
That's
there he
my
is.
fault.
That was a throw.
That's
No,
my
he
fault.
did throw the football
no,
just
I know.
now.
I'm just so locked into 17 from this past game, but all 4 quarterbacks, let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Throwing, which is what you like to see.
Yeah, you like to see that. And then, of course, the new guy, Logan Woodside, who did get in for a couple of reps, albeit handoffs and a rush.
Hey.
But he got in.
Not
48
bad
hours.
for showing up,
48 hours before a game and saying, you know what, we're good.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
Being familiar with Arthur Smith, but still new to the Steelers team, and at that point, a lot of different players in there. But I felt like the game was at a point where it made sense to put him in there. Skylar Thompson, however many snaps he got, like we said, he made the most of them for sure.
Well, we threw the ball, 38 times, I believe? So he threw 28 passes in that game. On top of the run game, I think we ran 25 total, so I'm going to give him about – so he was in there for a better part of about 40 almost 50 plays, and did well. Did not look bad at all. Threw 3 touchdowns in the game and looked comfortable. That one to Keyshawn Williams.
Yes.
The snatch from the sky.
That was a pretty one.
Oh, man, that was a pretty play. That was a pretty play. And I wonder if we're going to – nope, that's the Max Hurleman one on the seam in the 2-minute drill. That was a beautiful play as well. But the execution of the 2-minute drill, I think as we see kind of the in-game highlights, that 2-minute drill was methodical. And you ran a 2-minute drill with your 2s and a 4-string quarterback.
Yeah.
And I would argue probably 3rd-string receivers and specialty positions. That's pretty incredible to finish out a half.
I can tell you coming out of the locker room at halftime, Coach Tomlin was very pleased with that. Also was kind of like, got to give props to Little, the kicker from Jacksonville for that 70-yard field goal. That was it all just seemed to not make sense, and then all of a sudden you're watching it and you can see the fans behind and you're like, oh my gosh, it's gonna make it.
Yeah, it's going good. Wow. we got to witness NFL history, even though it will not count officially in the history books, but the longest completed field goal attempt in NFL history in a regulation-style game where you had referees, you had fans, you were present, right? Because the next closest was 67 by Justin Tucker, and that was a doinker. That one had to doink off the bottom bar and roll in across on the positive side. And then Sebastian Janikowski attempted 76, but was way, way, way short. He was about 15 to 20 yards short on his. But that one right there, the Cam Little one, that was absolutely drilled. Cam Little, big leg. There it is.
Noted.
I got it in there.
Do you feel like a 70-yard field goal can happen in a real game?
I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
It's tough to say that we're backed up. If you miss, you're on the 35-yard line. You know, you're giving up that much leverage. Unless you have that type of faith in Cam Little, I'm sorry, but we got to be in the plus territory. As much as no risk, no issues.
Sure, in the preseason.
In the preseason, because it doesn't count either way. But in season, yeah, we have 50 to 55. There we go. Let's just nail it in that range.
Yeah. All right, let's take a listen. Some of the players who took part in the game in Jacksonville spoke to the media following the game. Let's take a listen to that now. How did it feel having the green dot tonight and taking on that responsibility?
It was awesome. I only got one drive, obviously, but I mean, the drive we were out there, I felt like the communication was great. Just glad the coaches trusted me with that responsibility.
What do you make of the defense's performance as a whole tonight? A lot of guys getting chances to put some stuff on tape?
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of guys that made some really big plays. I think, obviously, there's a lot of things we have to correct and work on before we get to the regular season, but I mean, it was a great start. I think you saw a lot of what the Steelers like to do. We like to stop the run. We like to hit hard and play fast. So I think you saw a lot of that today.
Purpose says how this whole offense as a whole just kind of went out there and gelled tonight, and Mason, the whole O-line, just everybody.
Tonight is just the first step. We did put some great stuff on film, did not so great, some bad stuff on film. I kind of won't say bad, but just some stuff that we need to work on. If that's technique, if that's communication, definitely like in the run game and things like that, and just the details, just to add a little more detail to our stuff. But I mean, once we clean that up, then I feel like sky's the limit. It's only our first preseason game, so we got a long ways until season and things like that.
I know you guys had a really big emphasis on playing clean and mistake-free, penalty-free, that kind of stuff. How does that marry with actual execution and being able to go down and score a touchdown on that first drive?
It's big. We talk about pre-snap penalty, that's jumping off sides, that's things like that. Even post-snap penalty, holding, like all that stuff can come back and bite us, in the butt at the end. So I feel like that's probably the key thing if you want to be a good offense is eliminate all the penalties and things like that, so we can execute the plays, so we don't got to worry about, we just got a big play, they're calling it back because of this. So I feel like once we clean all that out our game, then sky's the limit.
What's the feeling like? Get the first one out there and have some success.
Yeah, had a lot of fun today. I think that summarizes everything. I was excited to get out there and get some opportunities and go play some football. And just had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun today.
What do you feel like was clicking for you guys as an offense?
Man, I thought it started with Arthur, just getting the plays in efficiently and being able to operate. I thought we had a good rhythm and tempo in and out of the huddle all day today, and I think that kind of starts everything off. And kind of felt like we got into a good rhythm and guys were just clicking and we're on the same page and guys were making plays.
Obviously, the plan was just to come out and work on the passing game on guys for as much as possible.
Man, whatever coach was going to call, I was going to execute. So
there was no plan like to say we're going to throw the ball today?
No. I mean, like I said, I think we were, Arthur did a great job of just calling the game today. We had a lot of our base stuff we've been running for a while and got the guys to feel confident in, and guys made plays.
How much extra confidence does it give to you knowing you went up against the first stringers for the Jags tonight?
To be honest, I didn't even know. I mean, I say that, but saw Travis Hunter out there in my first drive. It's kind of going into this, it didn't really, matter who was on the other side of the ball. I was very confident in what we had planned and my guys, and just knew I just had to go through my read and execute and make some plays.
All right, and the Steelers just announced some roster moves, so I'm going to read them off my phone here. Don't mind that. DB Mikey Victor has been signed in tight end Kevin Folish, who was here before.
Yeah.
He is back. In a corresponding move, Pittsburgh has waived tight end DJ Thomas Jones and waived injured Cameron McCutcheon, who, as we had said earlier, had left the game due to an injury. So still in that point where you have 90 guys on the roster, 91 for the Steelers with their international exemption. Don't have to get to 53 just yet, but still 2 more games, lots of practices left, and unfortunately this is the part of the business that sometimes happens.
Yeah, it is, and, it's unfortunate. Like you said, Cam McCutcheon had an opportunity. He gets injured in the game. I mean, nobody can predict that happening. DJ Thomas Jones obviously coming off of an injury and trying to get ready to play for game day. Just didn't quite get there. So, you wish them well, but another man's misfortune is another man's opportunity. So we'll welcome Victor and back Folish to the fold, so to speak. And body, and you need guys that want opportunities to come, because you have a scrimmage Thursday, game Saturday, then game next Thursday. That's a lot of action in a very short amount of time. So getting guys in here that are healthy, ready to go to get out there and compete, because there's going to be opportunities to compete over this next week and a half. So take advantage of every opportunity you get.
No doubt, and that game Thursday is in Carolina, so that means you're traveling on Wednesday. So that is going to be a tighter week, almost like a Thursday night game in the regular season. In terms of the scrimmage with Tampa Bay, do you expect that to be more game-like? Because it is close to the public, it is more a chance to maybe do things that we won't necessarily see on Saturday.
I think you can expect the bulk of the work for the starters to be in that practice. And also, it's a team that they're not going to see in the regular season. So that's why you can do a little bit more as opposed to what you can do in a stadium when you have fans and you have eyes and you have scouts and everybody else dissecting your game. So you can get a little more creative. You can mimic what a regular season game is going to be, some of the regular season situations. So I expect it to be more intense, more nuanced, and more game-like for regular season for both of these squads as they prepare on Thursday. And then Saturday will be the formality where the young guys will get to play. Want to see a little bit second act for some guys that proved themselves in game one. But most importantly, depth. Showing off the depth and figuring out who's going to rise above. What cream is rising to the top.
In terms of the Steelers down here, as we see getting ready for practice, not in pads today, which makes sense as Max had outlined what is ahead on the schedule, the journey that is wrapping up training camp and the preseason. Even when you leave Latrobe, it's still training camp-like until that final preseason game next Thursday against the Panthers. What did you make in terms of Darnell Washington? We just heard from him there. Getting the ball again. Nice to see. We saw a touchdown in Denver last year. His dunk celebration, and then Max Hurlman with the backflip.
Well, I think, I have to say, welcome back, Mount Washington. This is where we thought when he got drafted 2 years ago,
right?
This is what we said he was supposed to be. He was supposed to be the red zone threat. He was supposed to be the guy that when you throw a jump ball up there, he's coming down with it or nobody's coming down with it at all. We kind of lost that over the last 2 years, but to see Mason Rudolph find him, hit him in stride in the seam, and he literally was tackled at the 3-yard line, by the way.
Yes.
And then just
forward.
like a redwood that falls in the forest, he fell into the end zone, scored a touchdown. Now, I will give him this. For a big man to get up and raise up like that, I got to give him a 10 out of 10 on the dunk, but then I give him a 1 out of 10 on understanding the situation in the game. Situation awareness is at an all-time low, and getting that 15-yard penalty and putting Budensalz in a very precarious position to kick a 48-yard extra point. But he accomplished it.
He did.
He accomplished it. And then, of course, Max Hurlman, we're watching the play right here. Here it is, 1, 2, 3, Cirque du Soleil.
Just missed it.
They just missed
the
it.
best part.
The best part of it. I mean, yes, the route was nice, the catch. It scored, but we're here for the sideshow acts as well. We're here for the sideshow.
Well, it was funny after Darnell caught that touchdown. Your good friend, Ramon Foster was down on the sideline filling in for me for radio sidelines, and he's looking around. He's like, "Oh, Darnell's gonna get it. He's gonna get it." And then he walks back down. He goes, "Danny Smith is the most mad." He laid into him because Alfredo Roberts went over, Coach Tomlin went over, but Danny probably didn't say it in the nicest way possible because in a real game that's
a difference.
That's a big difference.
That's
a
difference, yeah.
I think he maybe got the message on that third one.
And if you were listening earlier, Steelers Nation, you heard Darnell Washington talk about when we get to clean up the penalties and everything. I was like, he is talking about himself right there.
Yes.
Like nobody else included. It's an audience of one. He's just repeating it out loud for his own recognition.
Absolutely. But good to see him, as you said, especially I feel like even last year during training camp in 7 shots, we'd see him involved.
Yeah.
And it just was not something that necessarily translated. I thought also the middle of the field in Jacksonville
it was open for business.
Which is what we were missing a little bit last year and something that we've seen them work on here in Latrobe, and good to see it translate into a game.
Yeah, better part of 4 years, I think, for us.
Fair.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as much as I love, the country of Canada, the Canada offense leaves a little less to be desired. So we are well beyond that point now.
Yes, we are.
In our growth here. But I thought it was great to see the middle of the field. I thought attacking it, like you said, the Darnell Washington, getting that seam route, looking at the comebacks that were ran. Robert Woods had a really nice one across the middle. Roman Wilson had a nice little deep over route that he caught. So the middle of the field being open, being deployable, and being useful, I thought was a really nice thing to have. And we saw quarterbacks not afraid of that zone. It didn't become the no man's land. But I think also the amount of receivers that we have that caught passes in this game, I thought that was also tremendous. Because Rock Taylor had one. He was running the slant and caught one in the middle. So, I mean, it was just, now I'm naming like all these names and people are like, who? I'm like, trust me, we got a lot of guys. That's what I said at the beginning of the broadcast. Depth is the key word here, and the Steelers have a lot of it.
And no interceptions either.
Nope, not one. For putting the ball up 38 times in the air, not getting an interception, pretty good job. By your second and your fourth string quarterbacks, just want to point that out one more time. Second and fourth string, better than 1 and 2 of Jacksonville.
You're like 1 and, yep.
Yeah.
And we were taking a look at the quarterbacks just a little bit ago, and it was not Will Howard, as our reference monitor is not the closest, and we also are not, Max and I are not great at, dealing with a little bit of a glare.
We're going to talk about it not being age, but saying it's age, okay? Let's just say.
Yeah, well, it could be that too.
And height.
Yes.
We're tall. We're both tall. We're both really tall, so the
almost
angle.
as tall as Max. I'm just about at like an inch or two.
Yeah, and I'm sitting up in my chair. That's why I look so tall.
But it was not Will Howard that was throwing the ball, but he was catching at one point. Not dressed in his uniform today. Just want to make sure that we correct that as we're, giving you the live look down on the field. Sometimes it's a live look for Max and I seeing it for the first time. We do try to turn around and see things. In terms of Arthur Smith, though, let's stick with the offense for just a little bit more. What did you learn about what he wants this offense to look like this year opposed to last year? Completely different weapons and personnel and quarterbacks, obviously, but did you learn anything about that?
I think I learned a little bit because I still think that what he really wants to do, he's not going to show it to the rest of the NFL. Let's just be fair.
Right.
You're not going to see it till week 1. But what I did appreciate was the amount of 2 tight end sets that they had, a couple of 3, and then of course when you took Darnell out, I don't know if a lot of people know, but Dylan Cook got in there.
Yes, he
and
did.
He was. I won't say what we call it here, but he was the eligible type of receiver.
Yes.
So, it's definitely going to be an emphasis of getting guys with multiple tight end sets deployed out here in this offense, and the intent to run and throw out of those sets I thought was really nice to see. That running back room, man, you got a lot of options, and Lou Nichols put on a show. He had the longest run of the night, physical, running downhill. Trey Sermon had a nice night as well, especially in the return game. So you're looking at that, and then you still got other options. Evan Hull wasn't bad at all either.
Right.
We thought we were going to see Kenneth Gainwell. We didn't end up seeing Kenneth Gainwell. A lot of Caleb Johnson. So it's just these are great problems to have as I kind of look at this. And Arthur Smith has to be ecstatic to have all of these options available to him. And getting down to 53 is going to be a tougher job than most people think.
Absolutely. You mentioned Caleb Johnson, obviously the rookie. They were not going to be shy about getting him some carries in Jacksonville, letting him test himself against a different team. What did you make of his first performance?
I thought it was good. Still looked like a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, still some vision things that he's going to have to get more comfortable with. An NFL hole looks a lot different from a college hole.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to need to make sure that when you see it, attack it. There's a couple times he kind of missed the opportunity, I think, trying to cut back a little bit too soon, or he was waiting a little bit too late and thought the hole was going to open up wider, and it was like, nope, that was all you're going to get. You're going to have to skinny through or else it closes. So I think just learning and getting adapted to that style of running is something, but it wasn't a deterrent, and I thought it was just a learning cue for Johnson.
There we're seeing Arthur Smith and Aaron Rodgers, a meeting of the minds going over some different things. And even though number 8 was not suited and dressed in uniform in Jacksonville, those two had a lot of conversations. And maybe Charlie Batch was saying on our TV broadcast, it's, hey, if I was in that situation, here's what I would have done. I would have, I like what that was. Just trying to continue to mesh this ideology of what this offense is going to be, what Aaron likes, what he doesn't like, when Arthur knows what to call with what works for him. You really saw those two. It wasn't just, Aaron helping out different guys or Arthur just being the OC. You saw a lot of collaboration, and it was throughout the entire night.
Yeah, I was about to say, Aaron was very, very active with the headset. He had his earpiece in, and and like you said, he's going to other quarterbacks, explaining stuff to them, then talking to Arthur about, hey, what would you like here? What do we do here? There's a couple of, we'll say, preseason for everybody, including electronics.
Yeah.
There's a couple of times that the headset went out.
Looked like it.
And we'll just say that there was a lot of creative four-letter words that were used in the process of getting those things back online. Is that the best way to say it? I think that's the most diplomatic way to say it.
Preseason for everybody.
Yeah. So I know we didn't get to talk. I don't know if you guys talked about those brand new Sony noise-canceling headsets that were supposed to be something proof integrated, and yeah, it did not happen that way.
You could tell Skylar Thompson sometimes was not necessarily hearing things, just based off of his mannerisms as he was looking at the sideline, kind of like, hey.
Yeah. Play?
Yeah.
No, you just want me to – okay, I'm going to freestyle this. I mean, that happened actually a couple of times in the game. And
right.
For the most part, it turned out very well for the Steelers. But that's the one thing that you have to get – you can't get codependent upon the technology at all times. You got to put faith in your skill set, understanding your studies, and then allowing that to come into play come game time. Because there's going to be times where the offense is going to be given carte blanche, and their quarterback's going to have to know what to do in those situations. So for Skylar Thompson – like I said, he operated as though there wasn't any big issues, still had success in the process. And I will say this, whatever happens with Skylar Thompson, he's going to end up in a good situation for what he did on Saturday night in Jacksonville. Heck, who knows? The Jaguars might say, wait a second, apples to apples comparison.
Yeah.
This guy outdueled both of my backup quarterbacks. He might be going back. He might get Red Rover back to the Sunshine State.
Well, and, I think, too, Logan Woodside still out here on the practice field, still helping be the fourth arm during these practices. Skylar Thompson might still get more opportunities just with the Pittsburgh Steelers to continue to put stuff on tape against other teams inside actual stadiums.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing you can ask for. When you're a veteran guy, you're a journeyman guy, I just need opportunities. And however I get them, however they come, I'm going to maximize those opportunities to make sure I continue it. And, for a lot of things that people were talking about, disparaging remarks, whether it's from South Florida, whether it's from Steeler fans when we signed him, I think he went out there and proved why we brought him in. And, you can understand, oh, shoot, okay, that guy can get us out of a game in a pinch.
Yep.
Like, this guy has more skills than what we saw in Miami a year ago when Tua was injured. They were trying to finish out the season and all the debacle that went in.
Yes.
This is a polished veteran backup quarterback that's been doing it as well. That's the other thing. He's been doing it, so it's not like this is a new transition for him.
Right, and he was actually the first quarterback currently in that room signed to a reserve futures contract in January before anybody else inside room that we're currently looking at was signed on the dotted line with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, he did almost win a playoff game. And you also have to remember that prior to Will Howard getting hurt, he wasn't getting that many snaps even here in Latrobe.
No.
But as you said, a veteran, a guy who's been there, who's done it, who knows how to prepare, who knows what he's doing in terms of mental reps, if that's all you're getting. And he showed out, which was great to see for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, listen, opportunity. That's all you can ask for. That's all you can pray for, and he did the most with it. So I'm really happy to have watched him play. Like you said, you see Logan Woodside there as well, and I think that's where it's going to come down to. We know what Will Howard is. He's a draft pick. He's a guy you paid Mason Rudolph, and of course Aaron is Aaron. But you never know when things get in a pinch. You know, what are you going to need to do? I don't think you're going to be able to stash him after the performance he had,
right,
and get him on P squad, but injury considerations later in the year, wherever he's at, whatever he falls into, you know, I think that's a great guy to consider of, you know, bringing back to the team if anything should change.
Absolutely. All right, well, we're talking a lot of offense, so I think it's only appropriate we had a chance to hear prior to practice today from offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. Let's take a listen to what he spoke to the media about.
Plenty of things we got to work on. Obviously, it was good to see some of the little things that we've been points of emphasis. You know, operation, we were pretty clean. We did have the one false start, leaving early down in the red zone. But I think overall, you know, things that style of play, guys made plays, handled situations pretty well for the most part. That was, but we got a long ways to go. Just the details and some of the stuff that showed up, you know, in the run game. You know, if you know, coulda, woulda, shoulda, but it's like everything you do, you've got to be in sync. And so there's plenty of stuff we got to work on.
What you like most about your time with Mason so far, and how do you think you played?
I played well. You know, it's just every quarterback I've had different. Just even the way they prepare and the times what they really need to know before. You know, sometimes you know you can drown them with too much information. You just got to get a feel for them. Every one of them is different in there, from Mason to Aaron to Skylar to Will, Logan. Just getting a feel for them, and I think that's what's important in the preseason. Those guys have to play how you want to call a game, you know, what they need from the sideline, just the rhythm of things, operation. I thought both quarterbacks handled it really well.
Darnell with that big touchdown, you know, in that opening drive, can we expect to maybe see him more in the pass game this season?
All these guys, I mean, that's always the intent to get everybody involved. I mean, even in a preseason game, I believe every skill player that touched the football in some capacity. So that was encouraging. You know, you want to give those guys opportunities to make the team, and guys that you're relying on, you know, get them going. You know, get ready for the regular season. So all those guys, we've got a lot of playmakers. You know, that was obviously good to see. I mean, it was the read on that play, and he made a great catch. And what we didn't like was the penalty afterwards. And that's going to cost them money, and it's a 15-yard penalty. And those are things that hurt us last year. You know, going back to the Philly game, and then we got a chance to take some early momentum. If you guys remember, we got the penalty. Actually, it was Slade, who's now here, but those things you can't do to beat yourself, and just overall team-wise. So, but very encouraged. Darnell's done a good job, and it was good to see him make the play.
Arthur, you had 4 of the 5 starting offensive linemen. How do you feel like they ran, especially at the tackle?
Well, they did a good job. I thought our conditioning was good. Those are 2 good players. I was glad that they played their guys. Hines Allen and Walker are pretty good edge guys. And so it was good work for Troy and Broderick. I thought the pockets were pretty good. You know, we had the 1 sack with a little miscue there underneath, and then, you know, another lesson learned. You know, the clock goes off. You know, that was a drive. We took the negative play. It's hard to overcome that. I mean, that's a old Tom Moore quote. And then we'll see Tom on Thursday, looking young as ever. And but it's true. You know, the clock goes off, and okay, play whatever 2nd and 10. You take those negative plays and what they do to drives. So plenty of stuff to learn from. But I thought both quarterbacks overall played really well.
Arthur, you guys seem to be targeting the middle of the field a lot more in practice. You saw the pass to Darnell, pass to Roman early in this game. Scotty's also talked about, it seems like you guys are working more concepts that give options for Aaron to manipulate the middle of the field. What has led to that being more of a big thing this year?
Yeah, you go with the strengths of your team. I mean, it's plenty of times last year we tried to do that in different areas. It's not one person's fault. But certainly when you become too one-dimensional, whatever you're doing, you know, the defense has to stay too. If you don't have counter punches, or you got to make them defend the entire field, that opens up a lot of other things.
What are your takeaways from the running game from Saturday that you guys can utilize to improve moving forward in that area?
Well, a lot of things. I mean, not just in the running game, even the passing numbers were good. There's some of our details I didn't think, as guys get tired, and those are the lessons you learn in the preseason. Like I said, I think too many people, they look for relief in this business with the end results sometimes. Okay, whatever you score 31 points or whatever, you can overreact one way or the other. Especially if things don't go well, people try to overreact, try to blame others, and other people, it's like they're never looking for relief. We're just looking for progress to improve. And that's always been my mindset. So there's a lot of areas. And so you go back to the run game, the same thing. At times, late in the game, I thought we had some decent runs, but early on, and then there's small things. I mean, it takes all 11. Whether it's the tracks, set up the combinations, some of the ball handlings. I mean, the little minutia that may sound boring, but those are things going on while you practice. And, I thought at times we've done pretty good here in practice, but it's got to carry over to the game. And so that's definitely something we got to work on.
Going off of that, too, Caleb Johnson seemed not the happiest with his performance after the game. 8 carries, 20 yards. I mean, it was his first ever NFL game, though, and he said the game was, fast. Did you talk to him at all after the game?
Yeah, Eddie and I both talked to him in game. And again, learning your players. Everybody's wired a little bit different, and some guys are too hard on themselves, and sometimes they're delusional and make excuses. Caleb's a great guy, and that's why it's important for those young guys to get out there. You don't want that being week one. I don't care who you are, whether it's nerves, excitement. So it's a big week for him and for all those rookies. We do work Thursday with Tampa and another preseason opportunity Saturday night.
Are you happy with how the ball distribution went without those 2 starting tight ends, DK and Calvin?
Yeah, that's always the goal. I mean, I think it naturally happens when you've got guys like DK. The ball finds them, but when guys make quick decisions and make good reads, and you want everybody to get involved. Then it naturally works itself out where some of the top guys will end up having, bigger target share. But you just feel the energy. It's like, if you're stalling out and, only focusing on one guy, and then, you'd love to everybody get involved. I think that's when you got a good team.
Is it intentional to attack early and push the ball downfield, especially against our starting defense?
I don't want to get into too much strategy, but it was good to see, get going to a good start. And, in a drive, I think we had 6 plays over 20 yards. It's the same thing like when you have negative plays or self-inflicted wounds, pre-snap, your chance of scoring, sometimes we did overcome Troy's penalty, but a lot of times those sacks and self-inflicted wounds, you stall out. So anytime you can use modern EPA analytics, you can go old school with coaches 70 years ago said, when you can get those chunk plays and stay out of third downs and get them on first, second down, or if you're in short yardage a lot, we were in third and short a decent amount. That was productive for us. So I don't want to go too much into strategy, but yes, obviously we want to get off to a better start and we want to hit more explosive plays.
Arthur, what's your initial impressions of Roman Wilson and Max Hurlman's performance in the first game? They had a pretty strong performance here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, Roman's a guy that's put a lot of work in. And obviously nobody wants to go through that and not play your rookie year, but he handled it. Some guys, they just kind of go away, and Roman behind the scenes has done a lot of work. I'm pretty sure the ball was going to go there, but you never know. If the coverage was different, it might have gone to Scotty or could have gone to the back. But that was intentional to get him going early, and he deserves that and to be rewarded. I've seen a lot of progress, so hopefully it continues.
I know you all work on situational football all the time.
Absolutely.
What was the breakdown early in the game, 4th and 1, not being able to get a
Well, a couple things. One, a lot of times you get into the preseason and, you're not trying to show everything. So if you want to package things there, which is pretty standard NFL 101, most people package those short yardage plays. You see that all the time where people get into like a 3-play package right there. We had an adjustment, and it is what it is. And it became a one-on-one thing, and we got a little bowed back, and the corner cracked the place and tackled us for a loss. I think they had a similar one I watched the other day. Somebody else ran one. So try not to get too cute in the preseason, but we got to execute better, and we obviously can. That was the one situational thing that I think we handled well. Actually, 2. One when we were 1st and 6 on the 6 package play. We get -1 followed by the false start, and that was the one drive in the red zone where we stalled out. So those situations, the margins in the NFL are so small. Try to eliminate those negative plays, especially if you got the ability to get out of things or maybe package things different. So that's not I don't want anybody to think that you're blaming the player, blaming the quarterback. You blame me, ultimately, all me and what you want to show. So those two situations, things that we can improve on for sure.
Where's your
confidence, please?
Where's your confidence in this offensive line compared to last year? Just the added experience this group has, and it seems like they are more coordinated in how they're picking up different blitzes in practice and in the games.
Well, that helps. When you're able to, sometimes there's a little bit of luck. You hope to play with the same 5 all year. Obviously, last year was one of those years where we had an injury bug, and we had a lot of young guys playing for the first time. And, they're going through, like any rookie, and so we had a lot of mix and match lineups. So when you have some consistency there, that helps for sure, and that's what you want to see. So obviously, I got a lot of confidence. I have guys, whoever we put out there, got confidence. I mean, that's you're going with the guys you got, and that was encouraging. We got 4 young guys playing, and then obviously Isaac didn't play. But you'd love to see that consistency.
Arthur, we saw you with Aaron a lot on the sidelines. What can you guys learn about each other? What's the value of that time together, watching plays as they're happening?
Just talking through things, and just, he's not out there, but obviously he and I have never been together. And Aaron, it's fun about talking football with Aaron. He's got a lot of experience, 20 years, been a lot of, you just talk through things, just like the question we're asked about situation. There's a million ways you can handle a situation. The best thing is that everybody's on the same page. And so it's, he's just trying to make use of his time. He's not out there. And I thought he did a great job on the sideline. Somebody's trying to do that for the camera. He's actually doing it for, real reasons to be involved. And he's been fantastic in that regard. So that's just another opportunity. He wasn't out there. And so just to try to get him involved, and just he and I would talk, or Tom, or he was helping the other quarterbacks. And it was good to see.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
All right, good to get Arthur Smith's perspective on Saturday's game and things kind of going forward. I liked when he was asked, were you trying to be aggressive on that first drive? And he's like, well, we always want to score early. That's always our, prerogative. We're not going to talk strategy, but we are glad that worked and how it started to unfold as well. But we didn't talk too much about defense just yet.
Yeah.
And I think to see number 55, Cole Holcomb, on Saturday in the pads, hitting people.
Sideline to sideline.
Yes, we have seen it here in Latrobe, but to see it in a game, I cannot imagine. I didn't get a chance to catch up with him post-game. Don't love Jacksonville's locker room. Very tiny. Very, very tiny.
Yes.
We were kind of trying the best that we could, but to see him out there for everything he's gone through, the hard work he's had to put into rehab back, it was great to see.
Yeah, you think about this. I mean, he was out for a solid year and a half. From injury, was coming back all last season, present on the sidelines, a part of the team.
Oh, yes.
But not able to play. I imagine that had to be frustrating. But like I said, I mean, it was worth the wait. He looked good, moving, running, chasing, tackling, everything you wanted to see, everything he was known for. Speed, tenacity, and finish. He showed us all of that in this game, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, and we talked on the TV broadcast about how his new hairdo, he got rid of the mullet, he cut it. The wife said, hey, you're a dad now, you're a little bit older, and he kind of liked it. He said it was a chance to, revamp, repurpose this season, kind of a fresh start type of deal, but it is still weird to see him with short hair.
Well, and still perfectly feathered in the front.
Yeah,
so,
that's fair.
I mean, there is a little bit of swag there, but you're right. He's now adulting. He's adulting hard right now. So, that's good to see. But like you said, he still has a very, very visual hairstyle that you can still see when the helmet's off.
Absolutely.
So at least he kept that persona.
Yes. Someone not in a helmet on Saturday would be number 5, Jalen Ramsey. I think we knew that bubble wrap was going to be put on him. But Max Ramona and I were talking about it down on the sideline. Just how vocal he was to the young guys, getting the surface out, helping them before and after every defensive drive, even going over to other people, not just on the defense, to give them, his thoughts on things, what he was seeing. Very engaged throughout the game. And again, we talk about the leadership of Aaron Rodgers and what he brings to that offense. I think there's plenty of leaders, as we know, on that defense. But Jalen Ramsey, I think for that defensive back unit, just bringing something extra special, somebody who knows all the positions so he can speak to all of them. And he was really doing that on Saturday, which was cool to see. It did not matter if you were a first, second, third, fourth string he was helping you out if you were in that game and he saw something.
Yeah, and I love that. And I think when you think about that, the veterans we brought in, they were the right veterans.
Oh, yes.
Right? Aaron Rodgers with the quarterbacks and the offense in general with the OC. You bring in Jalen Ramsey. He's with the defensive secondary the entire time. Now, granted, we already had a Patrick Queen, but Malik Harrison, who played a lot, knows a lot as well. You know, Deshaun and Juan on the back half. Having that type of persona around there, and then Jonnu for the tight ends. You have to realize that's a young tight end unit.
Right. When Pat was your veteran.
When Pat was your vet lead guy, now you have Jonnu. You know, you have somebody like that. You have a Kenneth Gainwell with the running back. We brought in, and then, of course, DK. So we brought in the right veterans and paired them up with the right position groups that were really youthful and could provide guidance as well as stellar play. And I think that was a big win for Omar Khan and company, moving, you know, looking through not only the draft but the free agency picks that they did and at what point they got all these guys.
Right. Darius Slay was someone I got to talk to in game and told him, you know, Cam Hayward anointed you, Jalen Ramsey, and JPJ the three-headed monster. And he kind of laughed and he was like, that's literally what we want to be, and we cannot wait to show people what that's going to look like. Not that we're going to see it through any of these last two preseason games, but I think, you know, he's another guy. And that was
Highsmith doing a little lunging.
That's, you know, also something you love to see.
Yeah.
He was dealing with that lower body injury that kept him out of practices, but to see him working his way back, especially in a day like this with no pads, not crazy, you know, contact or anything. We want him healthy for week 1.
Bubble wrap.
Yes.
You can't invest in it on the stock market, but we can sure supply it here at the Steelers, and we have 18 bubble wrappable players. I'm using a lot of bubble wrap right now. I need to stop. I need to slow down. I'm starting to get a system going.
But, I mean, I think, you know, I listened to Coach Tomlin. He was on the pivot with Ryan Clark and his crew, and he talked about just the roster that they assembled, the pieces that you have. It makes you want to bubble wrap everybody because you can tell how special it can be. And health, of course, as we know, is a major component of every season, no matter if it's week 1 or week 18. Sometimes health can dictate things. We're talking about Cole Holcomb. I remember when him and Landon Roberts were like the last guy standing in that inside linebacker room, and then he went out. And Landon was hurt and playing through things, and he still, you know, he still had to do what he had to do. And unfortunately, that's how it goes sometimes.
That is. And health is one of the number one things. It's an attrition. It's not a matter of if, it's always a matter of when you are going to have to deal with that. And having the depth that they have allows you more flexibility to kind of control your fate within that type of attrition. And the Steelers, I can't say it again. I said it at the top of this show. I'm going to say it towards the end of this show. Depth is impressive thus far for the Steelers.
So bubble wrap it and keep it.
Listen, bubble wrap is good. It's better than being held together by bubble gum and like Band-Aids, right?
Yeah.
You know, but if you
could
bubble wrap,
bad Band-Aids.
yeah. So it's like precious things, vintage things, all get wrapped in bubble wrap. My Transform, my Optimus Prime, the die-cast version, not the plastic one, still in bubble wrap because I know how special it is. And once again, I want to make it to the display day. So you kind of hold on to those things until it's time to really start playing with them hard.
Today they're not in pads. Do you think tomorrow they'll put pads on, or do you think this will be an easy way out of the final days here in Latrobe?
I think you have to pad it up tomorrow.
Right.
And then you take off Wednesday.
Thursday.
And then Thursday's a padded day. Then Friday's a walkthrough. And then
Right.
Saturday's a game. Because you still need contact.
Right.
You still need physicality. The guys still have to callus out there. You know, that's one of the things that this time of year is for. It's for the callusing. Because when you get in the season, you're hitting maybe once and up to like, I think you get 12 or 13 total.
Right.
Throughout the season, and only one time you can double pad it up in a week. Granted, we padded every day possible back when I played, so another back in my day reference. But you want to take advantage of those days, and you already missed the first day of pad, so you technically have that extra day sitting in your back pocket of wondering when are we going to get it. I expect Thursday or tomorrow and Thursday to be those 2 days.
I don't think Coach Tomlin's going to hold on to that one.
No, that's one you can get rid of. I mean, it's not as good. It's not as good as a Ferrari IOU, like in Dumb and Dumber. So, yeah, you can get rid of that. Like timeouts at the end of the first half.
Yeah, totally different. All right, Max, thanks so much for joining me today. Mike Prisuta will be with us tomorrow. Our final training camp live presented by FedEx coming to you from Latrobe. Thanks for joining us. We'll see everybody tomorrow at 1:30. Have a great night.